In this video, I will be surviving 25 days in hardcore Minecraft Bedrock. Starting with nothing, I'll gather resources, build a base, explore the world, and try to survive. So sit back, relax, and watch as I attempt to survive 25 days in Minecraft Hardcore Bedrock. Day 1, I spawned in a plains biome. I then ran over to the nearby forest and punched down a tree. After that, I got some stone, crafted some stone tools, and made myself a little base in the cliff. I then found some coal and copper, and after mining it, I had an encounter with my neighbor. He's not a very nice guy. I then planted some sugarcane by the river, and finally found the third sheep so I could craft a bed and go to sleep on day 1. I started day 2 by planting a small farm around this little water source, and then I expanded my base, and then crafted copper armor with the copper from the day before. I started to mine out a little area so that I could set up a stone wall so that no monsters will attack me at night. I then lit it up with torches so that nothing spawns. I then got chased by my neighbor. I'm not really sure what he wanted. And that was the end of day 2. Day 3, I realized he wanted to move in with me. I'm not really sure what happened to him. I then built a staircase above my base so that I could mine the dirt out and make a little platform. And I finished day 3 by mining some more copper so that I could finish my armor set and be fully equipped. Day 4, I started off by lighting up the platform and then putting up the wall so that no monsters can attack me from above. I then witnessed my neighbors having a little dispute. Next, I expanded my sugarcane farm and then spent the rest of the day mining. I found copper and a lot of coal. Day 5, I harvested my farm and then built a little dock on the coast so that I could go on my boat to the nearby forest and harvest some wood. I then returned to base and made it look a little better. I even put these bush things out front. I think it looks good. Day 6, I planted some oak saplings in my yard so that I never run out of wood. I then set up some animal pens in my yard and captured some cows and sheep to go in them. The rest of day 6, I spent mining down looking for some iron. I came across a cave and found some copper and coal, but also found some iron. While in the same cave, I found a zombie spawner. And it didn't turn out good. I did not expect him to do this much damage. But I survived. And got terrible loot. I returned to base, it was day 7. And I was able to use the iron I'd gotten to make a pickaxe and a shield. Day 8, I began expanding the sugarcane farm. And then I began mining a staircase up to the top of the mountain, and I even found some emerald. A nice view from up here. On day 9, I started by breeding the animals, and ran back up my staircase, and almost fell off the cliff. I ran up here to look for a village, and I saw no villages. So I decided to hop on my boat, and go down the river in search of a village. I finished day 9 by watching the sunset. My journey down the river continued into day 10, and that's when I spotted a village. It's that little dot on the mountain up there. In fact, there were 2 villages. So I raided and stole all the stuff. Not very good stuff, but I'll take what I can get. I'll use this later. It then began raining, so I sealed some villagers in their houses and went to bed. Day 11, I began construction of the canal so that I can transport the villagers back to my base. It took all day because the village was far away from the river, but eventually I got there. I was gathering more dirt and I got attacked. But they were no match for me. By the end of the day, I had the canal connected to the river. Day 12, I began flooding the canal so that I can use a boat on it. It took a while, but I got it finished and connected it to the river. And you know, I had to test it, and it works great. I then headed home for the night. Day 13, I began construction of the villager breeder. They're never gonna escape this. I then constructed a canal in front of it so that I can easily row them in. And I even made it look pretty. Look at this. Beautiful. Day 14, I headed back on my boat back to the village. I found this guy wandering by himself outside the village, so I kidnapped him. Figured he would enjoy it. I brought him all the way back home, and I rowed him up the small canal into the breeder. I think he will like it here. And I even gave him a bed. Day 15, I headed back to the village to get him a friend. By the time I got to the village, I had an unwanted guest in my boat. But I dealt with that and then was able to capture another villager, and I brought him all the way home. I think these two are going to grow very close. The rest of day 15, I spent deconstructing the canal. Day 16, I was just breeding my animals when all of a sudden I got attacked by a horde of zombies. Once again, they were no match for my power. I then fed the villagers and sat in the corner while they made a kid. I then went across the river and started constructing a massive farm for all the new crops I got from the village. And that was the end of day 16. Day 17, I gave 2 villagers both farming jobs. And then I sold some of the wheat that I had gotten from the village. I then began constructing a villager trading hall just to the left of my house. And dug it pretty deep into the mountain. I think it's the best build yet. Day 18, I began building a room above the main room of the trading hall. This room will help me to get the villagers into the right spots. This is where I will keep the villagers. I then found this nitwit and had a little chat with him. I then began constructing the villager transport route to get them to the villager trading hall. Day 19, I began digging the tunnel to connect the 2 rooms. And I was successful. I then went back and forth, making the tunnel wide enough to fit a boat down. Day 20, I began flooding the tunnel so that the boat will float. This part took quite a while. And you know I had to give it a test ride. And it works perfectly, just as I intended. After that, I harvested my sugarcane and decided to make the farm even larger. I then waited for the villagers to go to sleep before capturing one in a boat and rowing him down my tunnel. And it seems that I built it at the perfect height because he is not suffocating. I was able to get him into the hole, and he is in the perfect spot now. It seems as though the system I've built works perfectly. I also captured the second villager. Day 21, I sheared all my sheep. Then I expanded the villager breeder so that I can put more beds down. Then I gave the villagers 3 new jobs so that I can get better gear. And this guy even tried to escape. Not happening on my watch. Day 22, I made a new gate on the one side of the wall. And then I constructed a bridge so that I can more easily cross the river to get to my new farm. I even added a nice path. For the rest of day 22, I began digging down to bedrock so that I can make a strip mine. And I added a ladder going all the way back up to the surface for easy access. Day 23, I harvested and replanted my farm. Then I expanded my home so that I can make a chest room, because my chests were getting pretty full. I then added item frames on the front and sorted through my chests. That night, I began transporting the 3 new villagers that I had gotten the day before. Day 24, I began strip mining in the mine that I had just made, and I'm looking for diamonds. So far, I've only found lapis and redstone, but I'm not going to give up yet. It took a while, but eventually, I finally found some diamonds. And it wasn't just 1 diamond, there were 6 of them. Well, I think that's a pretty good haul, at least for my first strip mining session. By the time I got up from the mines, I was able to watch the sunrise into day 25. I started day 25 harvesting my farm, breeding the sheep and cows, and harvesting the sugarcane. I then realized the amount of sugarcane I had, and I decided to make a librarian villager to trade it all. I got a bunch of emeralds. I then used those emeralds to trade with my other villagers to get an enchanted sword and an iron axe. And with that, folks, that is day 25 complete. We have successfully survived 25 days in hardcore Bedrock Minecraft. If you enjoyed this video and want to see episode 2, I would love if you would consider leaving a like or a comment and consider subscribing so you don't miss the next one. Until then, folks, thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.